Grace Anderson was 36 years old when she finally admitted that her relationship with desire had become toxic. Sitting in her art studio in downtown Asheville, surrounded by half-finished paintings that screamed with vibrant colors she no longer felt inside, she stared at her hands covered in dried paint. For the past year, her libido had been in overdrive, a relentless, consuming force that left her feeling out of control rather than empowered. As a respected abstract artist whose work explored themes of feminine energy and transformation, Grace had built a career celebrating the wild, untamed aspects of womanhood. Her pieces hung in galleries across the Blue Ridge Mountains, each one a testament to passion and vitality. But lately, the passion had twisted into something compulsive, something that felt more like running from herself than expressing herself. She couldn't remember the last time sexual desire had felt like genuine connection. Instead, it had become a numbing agent, a way to avoid feeling loneliness, anxiety, the grief she'd been carrying since her mother's death 18 months ago. She found herself seeking encounters that left her feeling emptier than before, chasing a relief that never came. It was her yoga instructor, Maya, who gently suggested she might benefit from working with someone who specialized in sexual energy alignment. "Grace, I can see you're burning yourself out," Maya said after class one evening. "There's a sexologist in town, Beto Alves. He works with women who are struggling with their relationship to their libido, whether it's too much or too little. He helped me understand that sexual energy isn't the enemy. How we relate to it is what matters." Grace felt simultaneously defensive and curious. The idea that her high libido might be a problem felt judgmental. But deep down, she knew Maya was right. This wasn't healthy desire. It was desperate, compulsive, disconnected. 2 weeks later, Grace found herself walking up the steps of a craftsman-style house in the Montford neighborhood where Beto Alves held his practice. The interior was warm and grounding, exposed wood beams, plants cascading from shelves, the scent of cedar and frankincense, and soft instrumental music playing from hidden speakers. Beto greeted her with a calm presence that immediately put her at ease. At 35, he carried himself with quiet confidence, his eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that made Grace feel seen rather than judged. They sat in comfortable chairs facing each other, and Beto began with a question that caught her off guard. "Grace, when did sexual desire stop being about pleasure and start being about escape?" The directness of the question cracked something open in her. Tears welled up before she could stop them. "How did you know?" she whispered. "Because that's what brings most people to this work," Beto said gently. "They're not broken. They're just using their sexual energy in ways that create more suffering rather than more aliveness. My role isn't to shut down your desire or make you feel ashamed of it. It's to help you transform how you relate to this powerful force within you." Over the next hour, Grace shared things she'd never spoken aloud. How her libido had intensified after her mother's death. How she'd been using sexual encounters to avoid grieving. How she felt simultaneously powerful and powerless in the grip of her own desire. Beto listened without judgment, occasionally asking clarifying questions. Finally, he said, "Grace, what you're experiencing is what I call dysregulated sexual energy. Your libido isn't too high, it's misdirected. Sexual energy is life force energy. When it's aligned with your authentic self, it becomes creative, nourishing, empowering. When it's misaligned, it becomes compulsive, depleting, disconnecting." He explained that his approach integrated tantric principles, somatic therapy, breathwork, and a practice he'd developed called intimate alchemy. "But we won't jump to any of that," he assured her. "First, we need to help you befriend your body again, to distinguish between authentic desire and compulsive seeking." The first sessions focused on what Beto called conscious pause. He taught Grace to notice when sexual desire arose, and instead of immediately acting on it, to pause and breathe with it. Ask yourself, what am I really hungry for right now? Connection, numbness, validation, relief from anxiety? It was excruciating at first. When Grace paused instead of acting, waves of grief, loneliness, and fear surfaced. All the emotions she'd been using sex to avoid. Beto taught her breathing techniques to stay present with these feelings instead of running from them. "Breathe into your belly," he instructed during their third session as Grace practiced on the cushioned mat. Let the breath be slow and deep. Feel whatever arises without trying to change it or escape it. As Grace breathed, tears streamed down her face. Beneath the compulsive desire, she discovered an ocean of unprocessed grief about her mother, loneliness from years of choosing intensity over intimacy, and a deep fear of being truly seen by another person. "This is the real work," Beto said softly, sitting beside her. "Sexual energy is powerful, but when we use it to avoid our humanity, it controls us. When we learn to be present with all of ourselves, the grief, the fear, the loneliness, then sexual energy can return to its natural role, a celebration of being alive, rather than an escape from life." By the 6th session, Grace noticed a shift. The compulsive quality of her desire was softening. She still felt sexual energy, but it had a different quality, less frantic, more grounded, more connected to genuine longing for intimacy rather than escape. Beto introduced somatic practices, gentle, conscious touch, that helped Grace reconnect with her body as a source of wisdom rather than just sensation. He taught her to place her hands on different parts of her body, her heart, her belly, her womb, and to simply listen. "Your body holds intelligence that your mind can't access," he explained. "When you learn to listen to it, you discover what you really need." Grace started a daily practice of self-touch that was completely different from how she'd been relating to her body. Instead of seeking intense sensation or release, she touched herself with curiosity and tenderness, exploring what felt nourishing versus what felt depleting. She discovered that her body craved slowness, presence, connection. The frantic encounters she'd been seeking left her feeling hollow, because they were antithetical to what her body actually wanted. In the 9th session, Beto introduced movement practices. He put on music and guided Grace to move her body freely, allowing sexual energy to express itself through dance rather than compulsive action. At first, Grace felt self-conscious, but as she surrendered to the movement, something profound happened. Her hips swayed, her arms undulated, her whole body became an expression of energy moving through her rather than pent up inside her. She laughed, she cried, she howled. All the emotions she'd been suppressing found expression through movement. "This is what aligned sexual energy looks like," Beto said, witnessing her with full presence. "It moves through you. It doesn't get stuck or compulsive. It flows. It expresses. It transforms." After 12 sessions, Grace noticed profound changes. The compulsive quality of her desire had almost completely dissolved. She still felt desire, perhaps even more intensely, but it was clean, grounded, connected to her authentic self rather than to avoidance. Her art transformed too. The paintings she created now had a depth and vulnerability they'd lacked before. She was no longer painting from a place of wild abandon that masked pain. She was painting from wholeness. It was in the 14th session that Beto mentioned intimate alchemy for the first time. "It's a practice I developed that integrates everything we've worked on," he explained. "It's conscious tantric sexual engagement where we use the activation of sexual energy as a gateway to even deeper self-understanding and energetic alignment." Grace felt a flutter of nervousness and excitement. "How is it different from what I've been doing on my own?" "The presence of another person creates a completely different energetic field," Beto said. "When you're alone, you only have your own energy to work with. In intimate alchemy, two people create a shared field where much deeper transformation becomes possible. But it's crucial that you come to it from a place of wholeness, not seeking. That's why we've done all this preliminary work." Grace took several weeks to consider. This wasn't about adding another sexual experience to her collection. This was about using sacred intimacy as a tool for transformation, She meditated on her intentions, journaled extensively, and finally felt a clear yes arise from deep within. When she told Beto she was ready, they spent an entire session preparing, discussing boundaries, establishing consent protocols, clarifying intentions. Beto emphasized repeatedly that this wasn't about him or about any relationship between them. This is a sacred container for your own transformation. I'm simply holding space and guiding the energy. The intimate alchemy session took place on a crisp autumn afternoon when the Blue Ridge Mountains were ablaze with fall colors. The practice room had been transformed. Candles, fresh flowers, soft fabrics, and the subtle scent of sandalwood. They began with an hour of meditation and breathwork, synchronizing their rhythms, creating a shared energetic field. Beto guided Grace through practices to ground fully into her body, to set clear intentions, to open herself to whatever wanted to emerge. When they finally came together physically, every movement was deliberate, conscious, energetic. Beto's touch was present and respectful, creating space for Grace to explore her own experience rather than performing for him. "Stay with your breath," he murmured as they moved together. "Notice what arises, sensations, emotions, memories. Don't chase anything, just be present with what is." Grace experienced waves unlike anything she'd felt before. This wasn't the frantic, numbing intensity she'd been seeking. This was expansive, conscious, alive. Energy moved up her spine, opened her heart, brought tears to her eyes. At one point, as Beto maintained eye contact while touching her with reverence, Grace felt a wall inside her crumble. She found herself sobbing, not from pain, but from finally allowing herself to be truly seen. For years, she'd been seeking anonymous intensity specifically to avoid this kind of vulnerability. "I see you," Beto whispered, holding space for her tears. "All of you. The grief, the fear, the beauty, the power. All of it is welcome here." The experience lasted nearly 3 hours, moving through different phases, sometimes intense, sometimes soft, sometimes still. Throughout it all, Beto guided Grace to breathe consciously, to allow energy to circulate rather than discharge, to stay present rather than dissociate. When they finally rested, Grace felt fundamentally different. Not because she'd had an intense sexual experience, she'd had plenty of those, but because she'd experienced sexual energy as a vehicle for integration, for coming home to herself, for healing the split between intensity and intimacy. "I finally understand," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I wasn't seeking too much sex. I was seeking connection while terrified of actually being seen. So I chose intensity without intimacy. This showed me what's possible when I stop running." The weeks following intimate alchemy were transformative. Grace continued sessions with Beto, now focused on integration, how to bring this quality of conscious, aligned sexuality into her daily life and eventual relationships. Beto taught her practices for maintaining energetic alignment on her own, morning rituals of breathwork and self-touch that honored her body, movement practices that allowed energy to flow rather than stagnate, meditation techniques for distinguishing between authentic desire and compulsive seeking. "The real transformation isn't the peak experience," Beto explained. "It's choosing aligned action day after day. It's pausing when compulsion arises. It's honoring your body's wisdom over your mind's habits." Grace created new patterns. When desire arose, she first checked in with herself. Was this authentic wanting or avoidance? If it was avoidance, she practiced being with whatever emotion she was trying to escape. If it was authentic, she honored it in ways that felt nourishing rather than depleting. She started dating differently. Instead of seeking intense but shallow connections, she allowed herself to be seen, vulnerabilities and all. The first time she cried in front of a lover while making love, she almost panicked. But then she remembered what Beto had taught her. Intimacy includes all of you, not just the polished parts. Her art evolved profoundly. The new series she created was titled Reclamation. Pieces that integrated both the wild, untamed feminine energy she'd always celebrated and the tender vulnerability she'd learned to honor. Critics noted the depth and authenticity that made this her most powerful work yet. 6 months after her final session with Beto, Grace hosted an opening for her new exhibition. Standing in the gallery surrounded by her work, she felt a wholeness she'd never experienced before. Maya approached her with a knowing smile. "You're different, Grace. Grounded. Present." Grace smiled back. "I stopped running from myself. Turns out, what I was seeking was never in another person's bed. It was in my own willingness to feel everything. Not just the intensity, but the tenderness. Not just the passion, but the grief. All of it." Later that evening, Grace drove home through the mountain roads, windows down, cool autumn air filling her car. She thought about the journey she'd traveled, from compulsive seeking to conscious choosing, from running from herself to coming home to herself. Beto hadn't fixed her, or even really taught her anything she didn't already know deep down. He'd created a safe container where she could discover her own wisdom, where she could transform her relationship to the powerful force of sexual energy from something that controlled her to something that served her wholeness. The intimate alchemy experience hadn't been about the sexual act itself. It had been about proving to herself that she could be fully present, fully seen, fully vulnerable, and survive. More than survive, thrive. It had shown her that true intimacy wasn't the enemy of intensity. It was the gateway to something far more profound. As she pulled into her driveway, Grace sat for a moment in silence, her hand resting on her heart. She felt her own pulse, steady and strong. For years, she'd been afraid that if she stopped running, stopped seeking the next intense experience, she'd find emptiness. Instead, she'd found herself. Her libido hadn't disappeared. If anything, she felt more sexual energy than ever. But now it was aligned, moving through her as creative force, as life force, as the very power that animated her art, her relationships, her entire existence. She walked into her home, into her studio, and looked at the canvas she'd started that morning. Tomorrow, she would paint. Not from compulsion or avoidance, but from the fullness of being completely alive, completely present, completely herself.